Good morning, true crime friends. How y'all doing? Y'all, the crime we have to talk about today. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Lindsay Shriver is back in the news. Oh, and we need to talk about her. But first, you know what you need to do. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share these videos. That helps other people find us. Let's get to 20,000 subscribers together. Also, find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. So look, do you know Lindsay Shriver? Don't you worry about it. I have a whole Lindsay Shriver playlist. I'm going to link in the description box of this video. But if you don't know, I'm going to get you all caught up before I give you the latest news. Okay, so look. Like a year ago, I started making videos on this lady, Lindsay Shriver. She's a whole mess. If bad judgment was a person, and she committed the best kind of crime. My favorite. Listen, all crime is bad. Don't do crimes. But she did the kind of crime that we love here at Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo because nobody was harmed. Nobody lost their life. I mean, some reputations devastated, honey, devastated. But and here's another little thing I noticed. What is it with the initials LS? We had Laurie Shriver, who unfortunately unalived her husband. We had Linda Sturmer, who unfortunately unalived her husband. And Lindsay Shriver, she attempted to unfortunately unalive her husband. Let me tell you all about it. Okay, so look. Lindsay she's a little Southern belle, and she was the cheerleader, and her boyfriend was the football player, and they were down there in somewhere in the South, you know, Alabama, Mississippi, one of them. She was down there in the South, and she was just a quintessential Southern belle. She had even been like a beauty queen. She was like the peanut queen or something like that. Why peanuts need a queen? Anyway. So they went to college together at Auburn University, and he was going to play professional ball, and then he got an owie on his knee. You know, I don't know how sports ball works. And so he became an insurance salesman. That does not seem like a natural transition to me, but okay, whatever. So he became some sort of insurance executive, and they got like a big fancy house, and she married him, and she had some kids, and they was going to live happily ever after. And I was like, oh, look at them, 3 little kids. This is wonderful. Now look, if that was the whole story, it would stop right there. Miss Lindsay was being a stay-at-home mom. That is the hardest job in the world. But Miss Lindsay was a little bit bored. She's like, okay, Robert, you going off to work, and I'm gonna sit here and take care of the kids. Also, is that the pool boy? Child, Miss Lindsay, in her boredom, did 2 things. Did you think she started baking, became a better mom? If you thought that, you'd be wrong. No, she became a TikTok star. I never heard the heifer, so how big of a star could she be? She was a TikTok enthusiast. She also became the town bicycle. You know town bicycles, honey. Everybody gets a ride. So Miss Lindsay was down there dropping it low and spreading it wide all over Georgia, right? And her husband was like, hey, girl, hey, the neighbors tell me that you are now the town bicycle. What is the situation? And she's like, me, I don't know what you're talking about. Apparently, she was caught having an inappropriate relationship with an 18-year-old. Lindsay, girl, the bad judgment. But she was like, and to that, honey, I say, oops, I am really enjoying our very large mansion, and I would not want to mess this up. So me and you gonna get back together, and I promise to be less of a bicycle. And he was like, okay, we're gonna put it behind us. We're gonna go to church, and you're gonna do some more TikTok dances, and we're gonna try and be better. And so she was doing real, real good. For a hot minute. She had gained some baby weight. She was a little bit puffy. Okay, that happens. She lost weight. She was looking good. She was out exercising. Now listen, after the first situation, you know her very Southern mother-in-law was looking at her crazy. Her mother-in-law was like, I don't think you should be back with her, but okay, whatever. Well, the in-laws, her parents-in-law, had a lot of money too. And they have a house down in the Bahamas. And so sometimes Lindsay and her husband and the kids would go down in the Bahamas. Sometimes they would go by themselves. Sometimes they would go with his parents. Everything was really wonderful. And so they're down in the Bahamas having a really, really nice time. The mother-in-law was like, my husband is ailing a little bit, so I'm going to put security cameras all over the house in case he falls and can't get up or something. We can see him. We can be like, hey, can you get up? Okay, we go call Life Alert people, whatever. Anyway, they had security cameras all over the house so that they could keep a good eye on the father-in-law who had like dementia or some, age-related ailment. Well, one night, Robert Shriver, Lindsay's husband, is doing fatherly that he reads the bedtime story, puts the kids to bed, whatever. Lindsay's like, you go to sleep. I'm not tired yet. I'm going to go down to the Grabbers Bar. Local bar there in the community. He was like, oh, have some rum punch for me. That sounds good. Okay, girl, you have a good time. So she goes down to the Grabbers Bar, and she meets herself a nice little cute local man who was real delightful. And she was just like, oh, you are chocolatey and delicious. Why don't you come on back to my mansion? And he was just like, okay. So they go back to the mansion. P.S. Her husband and her children are asleep in the house. And so she was sharing herself with the nice man from the Grabbers Bar on the living room sofa. Or maybe she was providing him with services. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I have not seen the video. What I do know is whatever happened between Lindsay and the man at the bar was caught on the videotape that was installed to protect the father-in-law. So she finishes up, wipes her mouth, whatever you got to do. And she sent the man on his way, right? And she goes and kisses her husband, cuddles up, and goes right to sleep. Well, the husband gets up in the morning and he's just like, what is this on my cheek? You know this heifer is sus. She used to be the town bicycle. She said she wasn't going to bicycle no more, but something tells me she's still a garden tool. So he was like, okay, let me just check these videotapes. I'm not sure Lindsay knew there was videotape in the living room. So the husband is scrolling through the footage and he's like, oh, I spy with my little eye my wife doing something wildly inappropriate with a man I do not recognize. And so he does not confront his wife. He knows who he married. He knows she the town bicycle. So he was like, okay, what should I do with this very, very incriminating information that I have found on my wife? I know what I'm going to do. What is the best practice? Should I take it to the preacher? Should I talk to her? Should I confront her one-on-one? I'm going to give her some shock therapy and maybe get the family in on helping her be a better wife and mother and a better person in general. So he takes this little snippet of videotape of her doing the nasty with that strange man from down at the bar and sends it to the whole family. Her mama, his mama, the friends, family, people at the church, everybody. And was like, look what I caught Lindsay doing. Lindsay is scandalized. Her mama is just like, well, I never, all of your parents, her parents. Now everybody know, right? And so they confront Lindsay, and Lindsay's like, I am in love with him. Girl, you just met him at a bar. What? And so he was just like, okay, we obviously have to get divorced because you are now going to quit dropping it low and spreading it wide. So I'm going to let you share your favors with everybody, just not with me. And she was like, fine. So they fly back home on the same plane together. Really? Oh, a private plane, of course. They fly back to Georgia together, and they live in their very large house in Georgia where they commence to fighting like cats and dogs all the time. Meanwhile, Lindsay continues to date her boyfriend down at the bar. And so she's just like, I can't stand my husband. I don't really have any money. I have this beautiful house and a private plane and these lovely children. On the strength of I married a rich dude and I've just been a housewife all this time. And so who knows how much money I'm going to end up with, but I would like to keep my lifestyle. And so her and the husband are fighting back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Meanwhile, based on the strength of the video, her mother-in-law is very, very upset. Her father-in-law was likely just relatively confused. Her own mother is siding with her husband because of the videotape. So Lindsay is out in the cold, right? She's just like, dang. Yes, I'm still living in the big mansion, but everybody hates me. So she just gets more open with her affair with the dude from down at the bar. Oh, she's calling him. She's talking to him. Everything is going good. And then we have police body cam footage. And I was like, oh, body cam footage, you say? I want to see every single frame. So one day, Lindsay's husband was planning to go down to the Bahamas with the children and the nanny and whatever. And Lindsay is like, well, I want to see my boyfriend, so I'm going to need to get a ride. And he's like, well, what you're not going to do is get on my plane, especially with them lips, where I know where they've been. You've been kissing on that man and stuff. So you can't ride on the plane. And she's like, I need a ride to the Bahamas. And she's like, the husband was like, you was planning a girls' weekend to go someplace else. Why you want to go with us? And she's just like, well, I need a ride. I don't have money to fly Delta. Also, did you see how pretty and delicate I am? I used to be the peanut queen. I need to fly private. And he was like, no. So he put his suitcases in the back of his truck. She put her suitcases in the back of his truck, and he took them out. And she puts him in, and he takes him out. And they go back and forth. Finally, she gets mad and calls the police and was like, hello, 911. He won't give me a ride to my boyfriend's place. So the police body cam people show up. The police show up with their body cams. And they was like, so what happened? And she's just like, he put hands on my suitcases today, and I just want you to make him stop. And the police was like, what? This is what you called us for. What? What? And so she was like, he's being really mean to me. And so the husband, Robert Shriver, was like, she is just giving it up to everybody in this town. Help us out here giving it up out of both draw legs. And so I'm sick of her. I told her she can't ride on the plane. And so she was like, I need to go to the Bahamas, and then I will be going elsewhere. And the police are like, both of y'all look crazy. Why y'all going on vacation together if you're getting a divorce? And Lindsay was like, I just need a ride. So ultimately, Lindsay gets real mad, and she texts her boyfriend. Apparently, her and the boyfriend have been having pillow talk about how it would be a real good idea to unfortunately unalive her husband. And the boyfriend down in the Bahamas, the boyfriend is like a prominent Bahamian. His father is politically connected and all of that stuff. The boyfriend was like, oh, I went to school with some kids with some dudes who are unfortunate unalivers. I'm sure they can help you right out. And she was like, great. On the heels of the fight about whether or not her husband was going to give her a ride on the private plane, she was like, I'm sick of this. End him. So she says it in a text with like emojis and stuff, because she's real mad. You know, the mad emoji, all the mean mad emoji. So I'm not sure if she went to the Bahamas that time or not. Meanwhile, down in the Bahamas, the Grabbers bar gets robbed. And the police at the Bahamas were like, no, what you're not going to do is think you're going to get away with this whole situation. So the police at the Bahamas look around at the community, and they're like, Mr. Bar owner, your employees look sus, super-duper sus. We want to check their cell phones to make sure there's nothing incriminating about this robbery on their phones. And so the employees were like, why, here is my telephone. Unbeknownst to these robbers, would-be unalivers, the police know how to get into WhatsApp. So they get on the WhatsApp, and they see all these messages saying, yeah, you should definitely, unfortunately, unalive my husband. And it's back and forth with all the details, and he did this and he did that, and here's a picture of him, and here's his location. And the Bahamian police are like, wait. We was just investigating a robbery. Now we have uncovered an M for hire plot. Okay, cool. Robert, meanwhile, flies down to the Bahamas. The police knock on the door, knock. Hey, Robert, hey, listen, welcome to the Bahamas. Can we talk to you for a second? Because we have some bad news. Seems like your wife is trying to unfortunately unalive you. And he was like, that sounds like something she would do. Was it her and the Bahamian boyfriend and all his ne'er-do-well friends or whatever? And the police was like, So, I mean, again, not quoting, they have body cam down in the Bahamas. Oh, the way I wish they had body cam down there. Anyway, they tell Robert about it, and Robert was like, this heifer. So Robert tells his mom and them, his very southern mama was clutching all of her pearls. Her southern mama was just like, I could die. I need a mint julep. I don't know what brings people back to life when you pass out or die or whatever. Anyway, her whole family turns against her. And when next time Lindsay is in the Bahamas, she gets arrested. She's arrested. Her boyfriend gets arrested. And the would-be unalivers get arrested and thrown in the worst prison in the Bahamas. That is the Fox Hill prison. I don't know nothing about that prison. But in my mind, they serve you boiled rat for dinner, right? So Lindsay was like, wait. A minute ago, I was enjoying the wares of this fine Bahamian gentleman and my husband and, our big mansion and probably some local men in Georgia and probably some other local men in other assorted areas because, she was real loose with herself. And now I'm down here in the Fox Hill prison eating boiled rat. And her husband was like, serves you right. So he takes his 3 little children, he flies back to Georgia, and now he's like, this is perfect. I'm not paying her bail. I don't have to pay child support. I don't have to pay spousal support. I can just live up here and live my best life and not be bothered with this heifer. And she sits in prison. Now listen, she goes to trial in the Bahamas where they do not have TV in the courtroom. What a sin and a shame that is. And they set her bond at $1,000. Miss Lindsay does not have the money. Girl, let me get this straight. You had a very nice life on the strength of you was married to a rich man. You was living in mansions and flying on private planes, but your bail is $1,000 and you don't have it? Girl, you couldn't have like stuffed some jewelry in your bra or something? You didn't set up like a little rainy day fund? If bad decisions was a person, Lindsay. Anyway. So Lindsay's down there in prison with $1,000 bail, and she don't have the money, and her parents won't give it to her. Heaven knows her in-laws won't give it to her. Her father-in-law is confused. He don't know what's going on at all. And so the husband goes back to Georgia, and he's just living his life. He's like, this is best. Who do you think that husband started dating? None other than reality star Chrysley. What's that Chrysley girl? Savannah Chrysley. Savannah Chrysley's parents, Todd and Julie Chrysley, went to jail for tax evasion. And Savannah's over here raising her her siblings and stuff like that. I believe also a niece, a nephew, a couple nieces. Savannah Chrysley from Chrysley Knows Best is left to raise the family while her parents are in prison for tax evasion. And she's like, I'm a social justice warrior. Oh, look, Robert, whose wife tried to unfortunately unalive him. This is great. 2 crimes where nobody lost their lives. And so Savannah Chrysley and Robert Shriver get together and they're dating and they love each other. And meanwhile, the divorce is working its way through the court system. And Savannah is like, I have some new stepchildren. We understand each other. We're both dealing with crimes in the public light. We are going to live happily ever after. Spoiler alert, they broke up recently, but child, that's another story for another day. Anyway, down in the Fox Hill prison, Lindsay is eating her rat with a side of roach chips, you know, because I assume that's what they serve. I don't know, maybe some plantains too, because plantains go with everything. Anyway, finally, the judge was like, okay, we're going to let you have bail, but you have to wear an ankle monitor. You have to stay in the local area. You have to sit your behind down here in the Bahamas. You can't go anywhere. Well, it was around Christmas time, and her husband was like, I got a new boo, and you are the mother of my children, so I'm going to pay the $1,000, and I'm going to let you get out of prison, but you got to stay down there in the Bahamas. So she finally gets sprung from jail, and she was looking real sad, and so she's down there. Her mama goes down there and was like, well, maybe you'll get your act right fully installed. I don't know that's what she said, but that's what I would have said. Child, the way I would have been smacking my child upside the head. Anyway, so the parents help her get set up in the Bahamas, and she's real sad. And she's just like, ooh, you know, paradise is nice, but not if you stuck here. Anyway, some months goes by, and Robert Shriver and Savannah Chrysley are living their happy lives. Lindsay Shriver's down in the Bahamas living her unhappy life. And then finally the judge is like, okay, I'm going to let you go to the United States, but you got to stay at your mama's house. Y'all, if I was in this kind of trouble, I would rather stay in prison. Yeah, I would be like, please bring me more boiled rat with a side of mouse tail. I could not be staying at my mama's house with her looking at me real hard the whole time, because she know I was doing nasty things with the man from down at the Grabbers Bar, right? So she goes home and she's living at her mama's house, and she's going to follow all the rules. And then she gets real sick of her mama, and she gets an apartment, or I guess her parents help her get set up in her own apartment or house or whatever. Not far from her mama's house, but not in her mama's house, because, you know, her mama was looking at her real ugly. You know when a Southern woman gets mad, she not going to scream, she not going to rant and rave, but the looks alone could kill you. You know what I mean, Southern women. Anyway. So Lindsay is living in her own apartment. One of the other rules she had was don't talk to the media at all. And so Good Morning America is like, hey, Lindsay, hey, girl, you still out here being a town bicycle? We got some questions for you. And so she was just like, I'm not supposed to talk about the case, but I could talk about other things. So Heifer goes on Good Morning America. The courts in the Bahamas were nice enough to release her and let her get out of jail first. They let her come back to America. They said she had to live at her mama's house. Now she's living not at her mama's house. They told her, don't talk to the press. She got her behind up on Good Morning America thinking, oh, well, I'm not going to talk about the case. I'm going to talk about some other things. Man, what do you think they want to talk to you about? Absolutely nothing. And so, except for your craze. So she goes on the court or whatever, and the court sees it, because, you know, the internet and TV and stuff reaches down to the Bahamas. It's not that far away. And the judge is like, Heifer, what? I'm going to bonk you so hard on the head with this hammer. So she has to go down and stand in front of the court and say, like, Your Honor, I plead oops. They said they were not going to air it until after my trial. So I don't, you know, I didn't understand. And the judge was actually lenient and was like, okay, just go back and follow all the rules. And Lindsay's like, okay, and immediately started breaking rules. And she moved to Alabama and moved in with her boyfriend. Girl, Lindsay, as you may have imagined, does not have great taste in men. She hooks up with some dude. She's lived with him and she's like, oh, we gonna live happily ever after. Oh, she traveling. She going on vacation. She doing all the things she's not supposed to do. Recently, it has come to light that Lindsay's boyfriend was arrested for domestic violence. And she is very, very upset. And she's like, Your Honor, now she's in American court on her DV charge. And she's just like, Your Honor, he tried to unfortunately unalive me. Ma'am, you should know a little something about that. You was over there trying to unfortunately unalive your husband who ain't do nothing to you but give you like a big house and a fancy life. And she's like, but Your Honor, this big mean man that I was dating, girl, you have terrible taste in men. Listen, this gentleman had what we hear at Gossip Rumor and Innuendo called the murder face. He looked like he could unfortunately unalive somebody with a look. This dude's look super duper dangerous. Lindsay is pressing charges. She is very upset. She's like, they say I tried to M somebody. That was not me. That was my boyfriend and his no account friends. Plus, I was just mad. It was an expression. He actually, what can you say here? He tried to hug me real tight around my neck till I wasn't breathing anymore. And then he put a pillow on my face and he beat me up. So you went from a mansion and a private plane and a second house in the Bahamas to a big mama Luke with an M face who is trying to actually, unfortunately, unalive you. And she's like, I am pressing charges. This is not right. And so that dude got locked up. Lindsay, girl, you weren't supposed to be living with nobody, no way. You were supposed to be at your mama's house, but you over in Alabama with some dude. And she's like, he DV'd me one other time when we was on vacation in Florida. Vacation in Florida? Were you supposed to be on vacation? Were you allowed to leave the state? Oh, no? Oh, got you. Here's the thing that's crazy. She's not even on schmugs. Again, I'm not sure what words you can say over here. If she was using schmugs or something, you could be like, oh, meth. But no, it's not even that. She's just stupid. Anyway, allegedly, what's she gonna do? She didn't have $1,000 for bail. It's not like she'd come sue me, but her mom and daddy and them got money. She's not the brightest bulb. So Lindsay is very, very upset, and she is absolutely pressing charges, assuming she's not convicted down in the Bahamas, because if she's convicted in the Bahamas for conspiracy to commit M on her husband, the rich husband, then she is definitely going to come back to Alabama and press charges against the man who DV'd her up and tried to hug her real tight on her throat and take her off this mortal coil. Something tells me I'm not going to see Lindsay at the Endless Heaven buffet. I don't know where trollops go when they pass away. Maybe there's just like, a garden tool, a garden shed in the sky where all them hoes hang out. But I'm just like, I ain't worried about running into her. So look, as it stands now, Lindsay is waiting to find out what happens with both of her cases. The one where she's pressing charges for attempted unaliving, the one where she's charged with attempted unaliving of her husband. Wait, she's pressing charges on attempted unaliving from her boyfriend to her. And then the case where she's facing charges of attempted unaliving of her very rich husband with the nice house. Meanwhile, the husband, as I mentioned before, broke up with Savannah Chrysley. He's just like, maybe I need to be single for a minute. Savannah Chrysley is reportedly heartbroken. I don't know. I want to know everybody's personal business, but apparently, Todd, what was his name? Todd Shriver, whatever his name is, the rich dude who used to be a football player. He's the only one with good sense in this story, but he messing with both these women. So, child, I don't know how good his sense is. We will keep an ear to the ground on this story. I will link the Lindsay Shriver playlist in the description box of this video. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Help us. Let's get to 20,000 subscribers together. I will see you in the next true crime. Bye.